The last thing I wanted to talk to you about today, I tend to do these videos in little clutches. Whilst I've set the camera up, I tend to do several all at once. So you'll notice that the background's different, but maybe the same for a few of them. I want to talk to you about, and I'm going to try and encapsulate this, so forgive me if this one's quite long, about something called, and I'm struggling to pronounce it, so something called Anosognosia. Okay, in short, it means to not know a disease. So this is particularly applicable with people with dementia. It's not just about denial that there's anything wrong with them. It's totally not that. It is actually an inability in their head to understand that either they have dementia or that they are struggling with something. Okay, so you may think that your mum or dad or whoever it is who you're looking after is just being incredibly stubborn and refusing to understand that they need help. You have to flip it a bit. If your person with dementia had a terrible car crash and that resulted in a brain injury, you would be totally understanding of the fact that they are going to struggle with certain things. And this is kind of what it's like when you have dementia. Your brain is impacted and the things that you could do before you can no longer do, but you're not aware of that. So you think everything's fine. So for example, mum may think she's coping admirably well, living at home on her own. She thinks she's doing all her laundry like she probably used to do 30 years ago. She's doing cooking herself meals, she's going out for daily walks, and she may even think she's playing tennis once a week with the ladies in the tennis club. That all used to happen. But in her mind, she's lost her short-term memory, and the memories that she can remember are from 20, 30, 40 years ago. So it's not her fault that she's telling you, I go out for walks every day, I bath every 3 days, I cook all my own meals. It's not her fault that the period of her life that she's living in her own head has long gone. She just doesn't understand the current situation, and that is not her or his fault. It is the illness of dementia. So how do we combat this? It can mean that one day they may be in total denial that there's anything wrong. The next day when you talk to them or when you meet them, they may actually be slightly accepting that they may need a little help. It's very difficult to know when this is going to happen. It goes up and down and it fluctuates like this. So really hard, but you have to remember it's not just denial. They actually have a mental health condition that damages their ability to understand these things. It's like a brain malfunction. So it can change over time. Sometimes they may understand what's happening around them, and other times they really won't, and they will totally believe that they're fine, and they'll get quite agitated at you, excuse me, or angry, or frustrated that you are suggesting that they aren't fine. So you do have to pick your words carefully and to change the way you communicate with them in order to persuade them to get some help in. So it really does depend on the level of self-awareness that they've had throughout their life. Now, some people are totally not self-aware of how they're coming across, and other people are very emotionally intelligent and are completely aware. So it is going to depend on what your person with dementia has been like for their whole life, and you will know them better than anybody else, so you will have an inkling as to whether they're going to be aware of this or not. But if they are completely unaware that they need help, then you need to be a little bit canny. And sometimes I talk to family carers about fiblets. Fiblets are fibs, tiny little white lies, but they are said and done with the best of intentions. So, for example, your person with dementia believes they're coping really well on their own, living independently at home, but they're not. And you cannot have missed the fact that they are not tending to their personal care when you visit. You will have noticed that they're always wearing the same clothes when you visit, and all sorts of other things, food out of date in the fridge, stuff piled high, which normally they would have got rid of, newspapers lying around the place. You will know as a daughter or a son or whoever, you will know, a friend, that things are going a bit ragged around the edges and that they need help. But they think they're doing fine. So how do you tackle this subject? They may get very defensive, they may get very angry when you suggest that they need help, and they will be 100% convinced that there is no problem and that you are actually going mad. So this is very difficult, and it's quite a strain on mother-daughter, son-father relationships in order to have these difficult conversations. But you need to remember that that's why they have made you their power of attorney. Power of attorney means that they have accepted at some point in their life they will not be able to make best interest decisions for themselves. They won't be able to make logical decisions that are in their best interest. And that is why they have allocated that responsibility to you. So this is where you have to step up and you have to manage the situation, but hopefully not upset them. So you never argue with somebody with dementia. If they say they are fine and they don't need any help, you have to start phrasing things in a different way. So if the aim of this whole thing is to get somebody in, maybe start with companionship visits, get somebody in from Bluebird Care to do companionship visits with your person with dementia. You would approach the subject, you know, Mum, I live too far away to drop in and take you shopping, or to take you to the nice big supermarket instead of the little corner shop. And I know how much you like going to the garden centre to choose new pot plants, or, you know, a whole host of other things that maybe your parent or whoever it is who has dementia likes to do but is no longer able to because they're no longer able to drive. So that is often the way in. So I'd like to set up visits from a lovely lady I know who wants to come and take you out. And wouldn't it be great to go and to do things together instead of you going out on your own? So you see what I'm doing there? I'm not mentioning you're not safe out on your own. You can't drive anymore. I'm not focusing on the negative things. I'm utterly focusing on the pleasant, enjoyable, nice, positive things that your person with dementia will be far more receptive to hearing than any negative things. So you have to flip. You always have to be a glass half empty with a smile on your face when you're with your person with dementia. And you need to say these things in a breezy, you know, positive, sunny manner, which hopefully will buoy them along and get them to understand that, oh yeah, that would be nice, let's do that. So you discreetly have to make their life safe without saying that. You could go down the road of saying, I'm worried about you and I think maybe you need to have more contact with people. And you will know better than me or anybody else how your person with dementia is likely to respond to that. But you need to think of ways to discreetly put this care and support in place whilst not focusing on what they can no longer do or what's no longer safe. So be creative, have a positive approach. By all means, talk to me if you want to talk through these nitty-gritty, difficult conversations first. It might be a good idea to put other little things in place. If your person with dementia is still managing their own finances and you've noticed some odd things going out of the account, asking them about them may not result in a positive conversation. So you might want to just go and talk to the bank, explain you have power of attorney, and to put things in place to safeguard your person with dementia. They may have neighbours who you could chat to and keep in touch with just to have another pair of eyes when you're not there. So if they notice your mother or your father going out at 9 o'clock at night, obviously that's not a good thing. So we would need to look into that and try and find out why they were going out late in the evening and also where they were going. Because sometimes people with dementia, we used to call it wandering, but now we call it walking with purpose. So they have an idea in their head that it's time to get the bus to go into town to do the shopping, and they have not registered that it's nighttime. So obviously that's a dangerous situation to be in. So we need to put things in place to safeguard that. You can put alarms on the door, you can put little pressure mats down so that it alerts you wherever you are, so that you know that your elderly parent is going out the door at 10 o'clock at night. There are lots of things and lots of gadgets available. You can obviously ask me, but there's lots of stuff online. So I think the gist of what I want to say is you have to be very careful and pick your words carefully when you're having these difficult conversations with your person with dementia. Always use the positive approach. Always be calm and soothing and positive in your demeanour when you're talking to them, because that will help them understand that you're doing it for a good reason, not a bad reason. And have the patience to maybe have this conversation on multiple visits when you visit them. You know, it will take time for it to sink in. And what I did with my own mum when we had to have some difficult conversations was I would leave her bullet point notes, short sentences about what we'd discussed and why we'd discussed it and what the options were. So giving her options, not too many, 1, 2, 3 maybe maximum, and explaining why we needed to take these steps. And then ultimately explaining that you're making these suggestions for her own benefit or his own benefit. Good luck. It's never easy, but if you need to talk through it, then obviously I'm always available to you. All dementia customers with Bluebird Care have free access to me, so you can call me or email me at any time and we can have a chat. I also do Zoom and Teams and whatever else you want to do, so if that's helpful to you, let me know. We can have a chat and we can think up a strategy, but do give me a call.